Hello, for those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Steph. I've been a full-time gig worker for a little over 2 years now, and I'm going to tell you about my unexpected Dashlink shift. Right? Unexpected. So from what I can tell, there's not a whole lot of videos about what Dashlink is like yet. I'm sure they're coming out every day, so forgive me if there's a lot of good ones today that I'm not aware of. But I'm going to document it as I go because, like I said, it's been unexpected. Okay, so what I mean by unexpected is, of course, last night I signed up for the Dashlink, but I was like number 115 or 119 or something, so totally not expecting a Dashlink. I glanced at it this morning, saw there was like still 100 and some odd people waiting in front of me and like 45 orders. So that was like 7:38 this morning. It has not even entered my mind again until about, I don't know, 15 minutes ago. So 15 minutes ago, I was sitting in my zone at a Pizza Hut thinking, you know, nothing's going to happen today because Tuesdays are really lame, and so far nothing is happening. I was considering going home and taking the rest of the day off because that was kind of my plan. Maybe get $20 during the lunch hour after my catering job and go home and just take the rest of the day off. Now, of note, I was about 12.6 miles away, I think, from the Dashlink warehouse. So I was not within the 10-mile perimeter that has been suggested. Also, like I said, I hadn't checked the Dashlink information since like 7 something this morning. So I have no idea how many orders were waiting or people were waiting or anything when this order came through. As stated, I was sitting at Pizza Hut waiting for a regular Dash offer. I did not have it toggled to Dashlink only, obviously, because I was not expecting any Dashlinks. So it came through and it said $89 and change, and I was like, what does that mean? I instantly thought a really huge catering order, right? I know. So once I saw that there was like 15 packages plus 34 packages, I knew I was doing a Dashlink. Oh my gosh. It also said something, I think I'm doing like 70 plus miles. So that's not the greatest thing ever, right? But at least it's more than $1 a mile, hopefully. And I didn't even look at the dimensions, or I don't even know if there are dimensions on the products. I know there's a lot of them, and I think every single one is a one product drop-off, but I'm not even sure about that. So I'll try to keep you guys informed as I go through the steps as to what it was like or what I'm doing, because I have no idea really what to expect. There's not that much info out there as far as I'm concerned about Dashlink. So here we go. All right, guys, I guess this is how you know you're at the right place, is when you see the DoorDash sign on top of a Staples sign. I don't know about the Staples sign part, but I guess the DoorDash sign's a pretty good sign, right? If you don't know where your Dashlink warehouse is, it's in your preferences under Dashlink. And in this particular warehouse area, it's kind of extra confusing, but I think it's just me because sometimes I get confused, okay? But I am following these red DoorDash pickup location signs. Look at this nice road, huh? That's some high quality shit right there. All right, guys, I got to make this quick. Basically, I got to scan all these packages, number them, put them in the right order in the back of my car so I deliver them quickly, hopefully. And so there's some work involved here. But they did walk me through the steps, so I got to get going, you guys. I'll talk to you in a little bit. All right, guys, there it is. The full meal deal. It's pretty full, huh? Don't be looking at no package names, okay? But there we go. All right, guys, I'm very sweaty. That took me, I don't know, quite a while to pick them all up and get them all in order. But it makes sense to put them in order. I used to do that when I used to do point pickup. It just makes sense. But in any case, I am off. It does not tell me how many miles total. It's just telling me that I'm going to my first stop, which is like 3 miles away. So hopefully this all goes great. Here we go. All right, you guys, I did the calculation. I shot the video showing what I had to do at 1:24, and I was finished and shooting the next video at 1:42. So 18 minutes to pack up my 49 packages and put them in order. The guy that was helping me, since it's my first time, said I did pretty good. I said, are you sure? Like, was I slow? Was I fast? He said, no, you did pretty good. So hopefully that's true. And I feel like I went fairly quick, but boy, I was sweating out there. They do make you work for this a little bit. So beyond that, it does say I have till 9:06 p.m. to drop it off. I don't believe it's going to take that long. I sure as heck hope not, because it's not even 2 o'clock yet. But I do believe that's a standard time for finishing your drop-offs. I'm assuming that since it's kind of a new program, that they probably have a huge window to allow for weird things to happen and problems. But I imagine over time they would tighten that window down, but who knows. Anyway, I'm still on my way to my first one, so 49 yet to go. Hopefully I don't regret this, you guys. All right, you guys, drop-off number 1 is done. It was pretty easy, pretty quick, pretty like a DoorDash, you know? And that's good, but I could see how it could get troublesome out here. Just, you know, because of normal DoorDash type shenanigans like codes and gates and all of that. Also, you guys, I want to let you know, I think the only reason I got this Dashlink offer was because they told me that Android phones weren't scanning at the warehouse, and so I think they had to turn a bunch of Android people away and give new people a chance to do it that had Apple phones. Because I started with my Android phone and he said, do you have an Apple phone? I was like, heck yeah. So lucky for me, I had both types of phones, but hopefully this gets me in so that I can get early access in the future and, you know, not have to wait for something to go wrong in order to get an offer. Let's go. Number 2. Okay, kind of brutal. Number 2 is 14.83 miles away. A couple other things that I think are notable is I drive an EV, and I wasn't expecting this, so I didn't really know how many miles I had when I said yes. Luckily, I had about 180 miles. I checked right afterward, and like I said, I think I'm going about 70 miles, but I don't know what direction I'm going in. I could be going 70 miles towards, like, say, Ocala, and, like, have to drive all that way back. That could suck. I don't know if they do like a circular journey to try to bring you back towards the warehouse in case you have returns, because that happens sometimes. So I really don't know what to expect, but luckily I should have enough miles to do whatever I need to do, of course, to get to another charger. And there's something else, but I can't remember yet. I'll remember. Oh, also, as soon as my order was ready, I got 41 notifications in a row on my text messaging. I'm assuming that doesn't always happen as soon as you accept the order, like mine. Mine was already ready, probably because an Android user went to pick it up and couldn't, and so I was next on the list, I guess. But in any case, expect some notifications. And besides that, I never thought of, what if all of my drop-offs were in downtown Orlando, where like the parking is notoriously difficult? That would be terrible. I have to learn how to read these orders before I accept them, because I don't know how bad this is, but it probably could have been even worse. It could be great though. We still gotta find out. That one was easy peasy too. My hair keeps getting weirder. Next one's less than a mile away. Alright, that one went okay, but as to all delivery drivers know, that person had no address markings on their house, which is very frustrating and difficult to find. And if you value your merchandise or your food, you should rectify that immediately with some numbers that glow in the dark. Okay, you guys, this one is in like a downtown type building up there. So I did have a lot of walking to do, and I'm parked in a parking garage, but luckily it's a free one and it's just down below. Also, luckily for me, there's a super helpful handyman maintenance tech type of gentleman downstairs that like even took me up the elevator to show me the ropes in this building complex, because I've never been here. So that was super helpful. And here we go on to number, I think we're on number 5. All these handy Zeal chargers in here. I think they cost though, because I've tried to use Zeal before, but I didn't have time for charging. Slow charging takes forever, and I gotta get out of here. You know, you guys, in my last delivery when I was in that apartment building, I was thinking to myself, boy, I better start checking to see that these don't have like more than one package each person, because what if I go all the way back out to my car and then, oh, guess what? I gotta go back up to apartment, whatever, 400. So luckily, I remembered that this time, and this person does have 2 packages. So, oh my gosh, I saved myself a lot of steps. All right, guys, I'm a little nervous because I think I'm like seven products in out of 49, and I've already been out here for almost an hour and a half. I'm not driving slow. Traffic's not that bad, but I am to the point where I've had my first major issue, which is there was a road closure right where I needed to go, and the detour is behind me. I'm on a one-way. This is going to be a little bit of a hang-up, so hopefully I can figure it out relatively quickly and get back to where I'm supposed to be and move on. Now we got this going on here. Hopefully it's a sunrail, not an actual train. Anytime now. Hmm. 2 hours later. No train, huh? Alright guys, 4th time's a charm. And the 3rd time, I'd even talked to some construction workers and I still messed up. But I'm here now. Yay. Alright folks, I have no idea what happens if you run over the time at 9:06. If I still have packages in my car, what happens? Or if I start getting close to 9:06, I don't want to find out because I don't want to be doing this that long. However, it could happen because I still have a car very, very full of packages. I don't know if it has something to do with the problems they were having with Android this morning, that this load is late getting to me, or if this is just the way it is. Some of you might know. Please let me know in the comments if this is an experience that you've also had, or is this unique. I should have warned you guys that my hair's just going to keep getting worse because it's been raining pretty much this entire time. But I finally ran into the first major hiccup. So I walked up to a door to deliver at a home, and the person that was sitting outside said that person does not live here. I don't know who that person is. Address matched up, everything like that. But in the Dasher app, that person's name wasn't listed in my list, so I couldn't initiate a return. So I had to pull over and contact Dasher support. The first level of support took 6 minutes to get a hold of, and then they couldn't manually do anything to help me move forward from that. So they had to transfer me to specialty department. Luckily they answered right away, but they had to manually track each and every one to figure out what was wrong. And they were able to figure it out, and we were able to initiate the return, which means I have to go back to the warehouse later to return that item for a little bit of additional money, but it's kind of really far away, so I'm not in love with that. But anyway, it took, like, all in all, like 40 minutes to do the whole return initiation, and I still have a lot of packages to deliver. It's 5:48. I've been doing this since 1:42, I believe, is when I told you guys I was ready to go. So this is getting to be a really, really low pay trip, and it's a real learning experience too, right? And that's what I'm trying to use this as, is a learning experience, so I know what's going to happen in the future and how I feel about Dashlink. But I'm not going to let this situation color my whole experience, because honestly, I jumped the gun and just took the order without doing any research on what the order entailed, and I really didn't know what I was getting into. I just wanted to try one, so I guess I have to have a sort of an okay attitude about it, right? For those of you familiar with the Orlando area, I started out kind of near Tradeport in the warehouse district, and I quickly wound up in Maitland. I've been to Altamont, and currently I'm in Castleberry. They're all pretty clustered together for those of you who don't know, but it's like an hour from Orlando to Orlando, so who knows what's up yet. So I lucked out on this one because it's a gated community. I had no gate code, but there was an Amazon driver right in front of me that just punched in the gate code, so I rode in after him. Shh, don't tell. Well, I guess that neighborhood had some kind of karma thing against me, because as I exited properly, the gate came down and scratched the hell out of my car. So I'm not sure I can do anything about that in today's day and age of, you know, the worker always being wrong. But, so, let's carry on. Alright folks, I have some serious concerns about how long this is going to take me. I believe I'm about 50% through with my 49 orders. And it's 6 p.m. so I've been doing this for almost 4 hours already. Most of these orders have been under a mile away from each other. But just a couple of things have held me up. Other than that, it's been easy breezy. I just don't think there's actually enough time to do it by 9. However, when I was talking to support, they said I actually have until tomorrow to complete it, which is weird, rather than to return it, which is questionable. But we'll see. Well, first off, I'd like to apologize for the grainy video and the poor light quality. I am in my car still. It is 9:33 p.m. and I am still not done because I am at the last drop-off, which is the return of the one item I could not deliver. And the warehouse appears to be closed. I don't see a delivery slot, so I'm waiting for live support to tell me what I'm supposed to do. And it better not be come back here again tomorrow, because this was an 18-mile drive from the last customer, and it's probably even further from where I live, and they only gave me $4 to return it anyway, so I'm not that excited about the prospects. But I will have to let you know what happens as soon as they return to the chat. Alright, I'm sorry about the poor lighting and video quality. However, I did want to finish out this video with some final thoughts as I charge my car and get ready to go home. Alright guys, so I made $91.75. It was 9 hours and 26 minutes of dash time with 9 hours of active time, and a total of 50 deliveries, which included the return at the end. That's not the greatest thing ever, right? That's with like your cost of fuel and like your vehicle wear and tear. Is it $7 an hour even? I don't think so. So that's pretty terrible, right? I don't know if the math is good or not. I know that it would be $9 an hour if it cost me nothing to do the work, which is pretty terrible, you know. But let's move on. We all know that that's not a good payday. I made a few notes along the way that I didn't talk about. One thing I wanted to say is, after the last incident I told you guys about, all of the orders were basically, you know, half a mile to, I think the longest one was 3 miles between, besides that second order that was 14 miles that took me out to Maitland area. And that was, I pretty much just drove around that area, mostly residential, for the rest of the day and night. I did have a few business orders that went relatively fine, and I didn't really have anything else go wacky at the end other than having to deal with gates and stuff like that. I don't honestly think that they have gate code or notes or anything built into the app yet for these orders. They are all very cookie cutter as far as the information on them. So I don't think it's necessarily customer's fault. I think it's a DoorDash limitation. Another thing I'd like to call out is this is a pretty smooth working app, even if it's just a DoorDash app. It actually works better than regular DoorDash, I think. But if you ever did point pickup, you would really appreciate this app's quality, because it's just, it's pretty peppy. It works pretty well. And I was able to use my Android to scan for each delivery, as opposed to not being able to pick up with my Android and scan there. So that was kind of odd. Alright, so the return process got a little screwed up. And it's partly my fault, I guess, for not being observant enough, but it's also just kind of, I don't know, it's an unfortunate part. So when I got back to the warehouse, to the same place I had picked up from, there was nobody there, no visible way to contact anybody there, no visible drop box. So I contacted DoorDash support and said, hey, what can I do? And they were like, well, you got to turn it into someone so they can scan it into the system, which, makes sense. I understand that. But I was like, well, I don't want to drive. I just drove 18 miles back from the last customer's house to deliver that, which is crazy for, $4 difference. And then also, actually, I think it's only like a $2 difference, honestly. It's barely anything. And I was like, I don't want to drive another 20 miles back from my house tomorrow just to drop off this package. And they were like, sorry, it's annoying, we're sorry, but this is what you have to do. And I'm like, this stinks. You guys are treating your top dashers pretty badly here. And I wasn't super rude. I was just kind of frustrated, but I wasn't like a real jerk about it. But in any case, I was like, okay, well, so be it. And they were taking forever to answer me, so I was going ahead and started leaving to head home because, I've been out all day long. I've been out since like 5 in the morning or something now. But luckily for me, on the way out, I saw a guy coming in, and I stopped and rolled down my window. He stopped and rolled down his window, and he worked there. He's a security guard, and he said that there was a drop box out at the front of the property, kind of by the gate where you drive in, where it's like a security gate, like a warehouse security gate. But I just didn't notice it when I drove in, so that's kind of on me for not being observant enough. But it'd be nice if they told you at the location, like, hey, did you happen to see where the return box is in case you have a return later? Just an idea, you guys. In any case, the support personnel was unable to offer me any compensation for having to do a return trip or anything else. And that job was terrible. I mean, I would never knowingly have taken that job thinking it would take that long to complete. Now, let's talk about that and how I feel about it overall. So overall, I'm glad I did the job, even though it's horrible. Now, I wish, honestly, I would have done a much smaller, horrible job, if that be the case. But I'm glad I got to do a Dashlink, so I know about the process and all the ins and outs that you can kind of expect out of it. It kind of goes like I thought it would, because if you do DoorDash already, you know that there's flaws that happen mainly because of humans in every couple of dashes. So if you're going to have a ton of dashes, obviously you're going to have some issues. And honestly, I didn't think I had as many issues as I should have for having 50 deliveries. Now, my next goal is to get back on Dashlink and get another Dashlink offer, hopefully someday soon. And especially if I can get moved up in the priority list, because I have done a large Dashlink now. Then, obviously, the next time I want to take very much closer attention, even though you only have like a minute and a half, I think, to review the information. I really want to pay closer attention to the information and make sure that it makes sense to do the delivery monetarily, time-wise, mileage, all of that stuff, and not just chomp at the bit to get a new thing, no matter how much it costs, right? Now, one of the things I liked about Dashlink, which is what I kind of like about catering and don't like about DoorDash and Uber Eats and things like that, is I kind of like having a schedule and knowing what I'm going to do to make the money I'm intending to make. I don't really like that constantly recreating the wheel every 5 minutes to 50 minutes with each new dash that you have to go out and acquire. And I don't like the drama behind deciding, do I have to take this dash? Is it like going to affect me negatively if I take this dash that I don't want to take? All of that stuff, that it's just gone out of this type of job. So that's nice. I did get to see parts of town here in Orlando that I've never seen before. I've seen some beautiful homes and yards and things like that. I saw a really cute kitty that had some special markings. The houses, of course, are easier to deliver to usually than the apartments or businesses. But that being said, in Orlando, there's a lot of gated communities and a lot of problems with not having gate numbers or codes. And in this case, I don't even think there's a place for the gate code in the app. It also doesn't seem like there's a way to contact the customer directly. When I tried to call 2 different customers, I just got routed to DoorDash each time. I guess it's a little bit exciting in the surprise of you're going to a bunch of unknown places unless you really know your town so well that you've got it all mapped out in your head. But it's kind of like exciting knowing that you already have the payment secured for those jobs, right? So I do think that this might be a better job for a team of people, like someone dedicated to driving, someone dedicated to drop off, because honestly, it'd make it a little quicker. It's, there's a lot of stopping, getting out, stopping the car, doing all the things that one other person could do really, really quickly, I think. That being said, I am not a fan of any time 2 people do one person's income job, because what the heck, Another thing I think is good to know is you should go to the bathroom before you do this, and hopefully you have some food with you and anything you actually need. Your phone charged, obviously, or charging it, because like I just got stuck for 9 hours without going to the bathroom. I'm sure you could stop and go to the bathroom, but then you're going to wind up going out a route. I don't know how long you can go out a route before they send you a message that says it doesn't appear like you're heading towards your destination. Maybe they don't do that right away because you've got this long window of time, but maybe they do. Also, weather might play a huge factor for you and for me in the future in these deliveries, because for me, luckily, honestly, it was raining all day. In Florida, in Central Florida, raining all day, which is generally, not the greatest thing, but the temperature was really moderate for here, and it wasn't just super hot and humid, which is what I would have expected in the place of rain. And when I'm frustrated, I'm already hot and sweaty, and so I would have been frustrated a lot of this time probably, and that would have really amped the whole thing up. So I lucked out with a rainy day, and luckily none of the rain was like the insano raino that we have here, where you can't see like anything in front of your car. It was just like a regular pattering rain. So yes, I was terrible with the hair all day, but I was moderately cool. So you might want to think about that if you're getting ready to do a really big order, like, how is the weather going to be? Alright, last, and I'll try to make it the quickest, obviously, because I know you're sick of this grainy, bad lighting. But I don't know if tips are allowed at all in the app for this, or if they're encouraged. If so, I kind of think probably not on the answer to both of those things. But I guess I could be wrong about that. If you know, please include a comment about that, because that would be great to know. And also, if anything I've said is incorrect as far as your knowledge is, or you've had a different experience on Dashlinks in your area or our area if you're here, please comment and let me know, because obviously I am not an expert, and it may be a while before I get another one, so I can really do a better job of choosing a Dashlink that is going to work well for me. I have questions still, like if I turn down a Dashlink that has 49 orders in it, does that affect my acceptance rate in some terrible way? I don't know. I would love to hear your experience with Dashlink. I would love to hear anyone else's experiences or questions that you have about my experience as well. So thank you so much for watching this video. I know it is too long, but I appreciate you anyway, and I hope it answered at least a few of your questions. This day definitely answered a lot of my questions. Am I going to do it again? Heck yes, I'm going to try to get some more Dashlinks and try to get some